Okay, we had a beautiful Shabbat, of course, with Rabbi Tubali. His focus was on Hanukkah, which starts tonight. But I don't want to get lost all the drama that's happening in the Torah. The drama between, of course, Yosef and all his brothers. And the Talmud says an interesting statement, because as perfect as we think all the Avot were, Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, of course, fathered the 12 Shivatim. What does the Talmud say in Shabbat 10b? It says as follows: a father ought to never differentiate one son from among all his sons. For as a result of the wool weighing 2 selah, a very small weight, that Jacob gave to Yosef, what was that? The striped tunic. Above what he gave his other sons, the brothers envied him, and this led to our ancestors descending into Egypt. The Talmud is pretty critical here of Yaakov, that he favored Yosef over all the other sons that he had. Now, anyone here who has children knows that it's very, very, very difficult to treat every child exactly the same. In fact, the Talmud tells us that you should teach a child according to his or her ways. Meaning, if you've got a kid who's already strong in a certain subject matter, you're not going to give him the exact, or her the exact same support as you would give someone who needs that type of support. So how can we reconcile the two statements in the Talmud? And more importantly, how can we dissect the relationship between Yaakov and his cherished son, Yosef? We don't have to go much beyond and speculation, because on a very, very basic level, we know that Yosef came from the marriage of Rachel. We knew that Rachel was the beloved wife of Yaakov, right? So clearly there's the most basic understanding of why there was perhaps a love greater for Yosef than the other brothers. But the Talmud in Bereshit, chapter 37, says specifically, and Israel, meaning Yaakov, loved Yosef from all his sons, for he was a child in his old age. And he made for him a striped tunic. What does one have to do with the other? The Torah, Hashem himself is telling us that those two are related. Yaakov's great love for his son Yosef was indeed linked why he gave him the striped tunic, the multicolored scarf or tunic. Why did Yaakov love his son so much? Understand, there are a few reasons for this. Yaakov and Yosef had similar appearance. They say they looked very similar to each other. And we know when there's a physical similarity, we all know that there is a spiritual similarity, right? Yosef and Yaakov both had brothers who tried to kill them. Right? Yaakov and Esav, Yosef and his other brothers. Both spent 22 years separated from their fathers. Yaakov went to the yeshiva of Shemenever, right? Where did Yosef go? Also to the yeshiva. Both fathered Shivatim. We all know Yaakov fathered 12 tribes. We all know Yosef fathered 2 tribes, Ephraim and Menashe. So we see that there was a lot of similarities to lead Yaakov to believe that this is my successor. This is the future of Am Yisrael rests here. But there's more. What happened? The striped tunic represented what we call the promotion Yaakov wanted to give Yosef. What happened? We all know that there are 3 positions of leadership in the Torah. There's priesthood, there's the right of the firstborn, and there's malchut, there's kingdom, right? And back then at the time, priesthood was together with the right of the firstborn. So the firstborn would have automatically the right of the priesthood, right? Now, who was Yaakov's eldest son? Reuven, Chazak. Now, he was the rightful recipient to all 3 of those crowns. But what happened? He lost it. When did he lose it? When he interfered with the sleeping arrangements of his father. You remember that? Rachel passed away, and he butted his nose where he shouldn't have butted it. And at the end of the day, the priesthood and the firstborn rights, they were separated. And who got them? Leviim got the priesthood. And Yosef and Yehuda earned the monarchy. Right? Yosef became the king of Egypt, and Yehuda earned what? The Davidic dynasty, of where David HaMelech came from Yehuda. So what happens? Mashiach will have a representation of both. We have Mashiach ben David and Mashiach ben Yosef. So Yosef earned the double portion of the firstborn by having two tribes, not one. Okay, that's it. At this point, Yosef was poised to get rid of Reuven, if you will, and become the king, the priest, and the firstborn. Reuven lost that right. Okay, but then we go a little bit deeper, right? And this is what Yaakov recognized. The Midrash, if you want the source, it's Tanchuma 58, chapter 58. It says 7 people in this world were born already circumcised. Okay? What is the point of circumcision? Hashem brings us into this world. Why? Not in perfect form. It's up to man to perfect ourselves. That's why Hashem gives us the very last mitzvah of circumcision for us, humanity, to perfect ourselves. He doesn't make us perfect. We have to perfect ourselves. But there were 7 individuals. Who were they? Who already came out circumcised? Adam, Rishon, Seth, Noach, Yaakov Avinu, Yosef, Moshe, and Iyov. 7 people came out, if you will, perfect. And what does circumcision represent? It represents the revelation of Hashem in this world, right? I won't get too much into it, but it represents revealing Hashem's name in this world. So we know that circumcision represents the central objective, if you will, of humanity. Now, what happens? Adam, we said, Adam Arishon, was born already circumcised. What happened when he sinned? He covered himself. Beautiful. But what happened? His circumcision was actually reversed. Hashem reversed his circumcision. Why? Why did he do it? Because before the sin, godliness was already revealed everywhere. And what did Adam do with his sin? And Chava, she was responsible too. What did they do? They brought sin in the world, and Hashem's presence everywhere kind of disappeared, right? It became hidden. And therefore, he didn't merit anymore to have the circumcision already from Hashem. And Hashem reversed that circumcision, the rabbis tell us. Now, what is the entire point from the goal of, what's our goal? As humanity, is to try to restore the world pre-chet, pre-sin, right? That's the goal. We have to take back this world to the times of before Adam and Chava, when they were in Gan Eden, right? Because that's what made us fall tremendously. So that's our goal here. Now, the Kabbalists, they note that when Yaakov made his tunic for Yosef, it was the second time that someone makes someone else clothing in the Torah. The first one, thank God you just said, when Adam and Chava sinned, they were naked, right? Hashem gave them clothing. This is the second time that Yaakov gives a piece of clothing to his son Yosef, which is significant. And so what did this represent, this tunic, right? It didn't represent just favoritism. Oh, I love you, so let me give you something that your brothers don't have. It represented the great potential, almost like a crown, that Yosef had to get the world back to the state of Gan Eden before the original sin happened. How do we know that? What happened when Yosef was appointed viceroy or king over Egypt? What did he make all the Egyptians do? He made them circumcised. Can you imagine all the Egyptians? He was so strong that he made all the Mitzrayim circumcised. What was he trying to do? He was trying to restore the world back to its perfection. And Yaakov Avinu understood the potential of Yosef and the power of Yosef to actually restore the world back. So where did Yaakov go wrong? Because clearly his brothers hated him, sold him into slavery, and that's what led our descent into slavery. Where did he go wrong? They said Yaakov went wrong because he gave them the tunic, which represented royalty and kingship, a little bit too soon. A little bit too soon. He was 17 years old. Yosef didn't prove himself yet. What did he do? Yaakov taught him all the Torah he learned for the 22 years in the academy of Shem and Ever. He taught everything to Yosef. He was 17 years old. Did he deserve the tunic at that particular point? No, he didn't. What he should have done is waited to give him a little bit later. But he didn't. He was a little bit almost too eager, if you will, to give him. Now, surely he had good reason for all the reasons we just discussed. He saw that he was not he came out circumcised. He was a perfect man. He understood with the vision and the dreams. He understood that his son was very, very special. But it was a little bit too early. And contrast this to Paro. When did Paro? Here's another incident where he was given clothing. Paro gave him clothing and he gave him the official signet, the ring, to be the ruler of Egypt. When did that happen? After Yosef proved himself. By interpreting the dreams, he proved himself with his wisdom. He had a plan for the famine. That's only then did Paro give him the clothing to become viceroy of Egypt. So what does this all mean for us, particularly as parents? Each and every single person here, each and every single child is destined for greatness. They are destined for greatness. And your role as a parent, as a Jew, is to bring out that potential in every single child. But what happens if you as a parent crown your child a little bit too early? You may actually disrupt your child's potential. If you tell your kid too early that you're the best in the world and you're the best athlete, it might stifle him. You know what? It gets to his head. I'm the best. I don't need to do anything because I already believe my own. I'm meeting my own. You know what? So that's where they say that the Chachamim, they say that Yaakov erred a little bit, that he kind of gave his son Yosef a little bit too early the priesthood and the crown. And that's the lesson for all of us. Hashem gave each and every single one of us everything we need to extract our potential, right? And that has to be developed, but we have to be patient to develop that. So Bezrat Hashem, it should be a lesson for all of us here, that we go home, we encourage our children, we want them to actualize their potential, but don't handicap them. Make themselves come out and realize it together. Have a beautiful Shavua Tov, and may all the mourners be comforted, Bezrat Hashem, and all the neshamot that passed away, the special neshamot, have an aliyah to Gan Eden, Bezrat Hashem.